Hello,
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How's everyone doing?
Doing good.
Okay. So, Arushi, welcome. It's been a while.
Clearly, it's been a while.
Mhm. So, we'll just wait a couple of minutes so that we can populate the chat.
Mhm.
We would love questions from everyone. Let me just put up a message. Let's see. Do we have people coming in? Okay. So, Arushi, how was your day?
Today was good. I was pretty occupied. How was your day?
Not bad. Finishing up some work before the weekend comes up. I have a plan with my family to go out for some sort of religious function. So I just want
Mhm.
to make sure I finish on my work before that.
Okay. Okay. So it's going to be a 2-day thing, the religious function.
More like a day and a half. Like it starts Saturday in the afternoon and then it ends early, early evening on Sunday.
Mhm. We have somebody in the comment section. Hi, Sheikh. Thank you for joining.
Okay. I think I've seen Sheikh come to the channel once or twice. Thank you so much for all of your support. Thank you. Please put in all of your questions in the chat if you have any. And we'll let you know if we can answer them. Hopefully, it'll be about fillers because today we're going to talk about how to be more aware of fillers in our conversation.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. Um, all right, Arushi. So let's get started.
Yep.
Right. So, when people talk about fillers, right? I'll just make it very simple for those who don't know. Fillers are basically words that we use when we don't know what to say in that particular moment,
Mhm.
when it takes us a minute to understand something. So, if I'm having a conversation with you, Arushi,
Mhm.
and I mention something that you are not quite sure of, like you don't know a lot of things about that, our
Mhm.
first instinct is how do I buy myself more time? How
Right.
do I, delay this conversation or delay my response?
Mhm.
And there are lots of words, is one of them. There are lots
Mhm.
of words that we use to delay that conversation, to give us that extra second, to give us that extra 2 3 seconds, so we can think and we can come up with a good answer, or at least not make a fool out of ourselves, right? Because
Right.
I've been in these situations a lot where I felt awkward and I'm like, oh no, what do I say now? uh, you know, Basically, my opinion on this is that I want to, and then I continue the conversation because once I use words like basically, actually,
Mhm.
okay, right, these are all words that will give us that extra second for our brain to think, oh my God, what do I say now?
Right.
Right.
Right. And
So
yeah. Mhm. And
I
I
think,
feel, yep, go
sorry,
ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying that and it's also a lot of times when you're not sure about something, your own vocabulary, it
Mhm.
can be you might use fillers. That
Yeah,
might be fun.
exactly. I think this is what I was about to say, that fillers are a great, concept in the language, in any language generally. We are talking about English today,
Mhm.
but overusing anything, right? Anything in moderation is good, as we say.
Yes.
Overusing any sort of concept or any sort of principle is or can be quite harmful. At least in this case, it would be harmful to your image because people would think that, oh, this person doesn't know what they're going to say all the time,
Hmm.
right?
Right. Yep.
We have a lot of highs, by the way. Hi, guys. It's very
You.
nice to see you. Arushi and I are going to help you understand how fillers work and how we can avoid them. Okay. And what are the consequences of using too many fillers? All right.
Yep.
So we have a lot of highs from Shri Leela.
Yes.
I
Hello.
hope I'm saying that correctly, Siri. Um, Mahabir Bisht has a question. Is 15 minutes daily enough to improve my English? Um, So as you must know, we do take 15 and 25-minute sessions on our platform. We believe that constant exposure to the language is going to make you curious, is going to make you explore things that you might not generally explore without an outside influence. So let's say you want to get abs, right? What a lot of people do is they'll go to the gym for a month, but then they'll keep working out for 2 hours every day. Right. Now that does more harm than good. Obviously, you're going to lose weight initially, you're going to gain some muscle, but you have to be very careful because you don't want to harm your body, right? The same way you can learn English, you can take classes for like, you know, 2 hours a day or 3 hours a day. But what we like you to do is take small steps first. When you initially start taking 15-minute sessions, what will happen is it will change the way you look at English. Okay. It'll change your mindset. It'll get you curious about the YouTube channels that we suggest, the books that we suggest. As you know, you are already here. So this is also one of the resources that you could use to improve your English. To join a live, to join a podcast from your favorite creator. It could be any of these things, right? So I know it sounds like 15 minutes isn't enough, but over the years we have seen the results. Okay. And it's a very good first step to improve your English communication. Right, Arushi?
Yep. For sure. Like the 15 minutes will help you at least get exposed to English. So then you can decide what sort of time is enough for you to study on your own. But
Yeah.
that the 15 minutes and those 25 minutes will be enough for you to get exposed and be surrounded, as we keep saying, be surrounded by English, right? So
Yeah.
that
Create an environment where learning English becomes easy for you.
easy. And it's not something that you're automatically scared of, like when you hear about it, because it is scary to learn a language.
It is. I remember when I was learning English, it was quite scary.
Good.
I did it because my school friends were all fluent in English. They were coming from international schools, and me, I've come from a very conservative background. I'm a Jain. If it's not already,
If it wasn't obvious.
if it wasn't obvious already, I'm a Jain. So in my household, the mother tongue was Hindi, or in some, like in my grandmother's house, it was Marwadi because I'm a Marwadi.
Okay.
Okay. So when I used to go to school, I used to feel like, oh God, like, how can I talk to these guys? They're so fluent. They're talking about football games. They're talking about concerts and artists. And I was just there thinking, okay, does anyone play video games? Because that was my only, area of interest at that time. So it encouraged me to kind of, level up my English by watching shows. And once I started watching them, I had my own interests that I really liked.
Right. For
Okay.
sure.
I think we have a lot of highs.
Yes, we do.
Can you acknowledge some of them?
Yep, I'm just reading. Hello, Jugal Kishore, if I'm reading your name correctly. Hello, Pradeep. Good to see you again. Hi, Himanchi. Hello, Roop Naresh. Hello, Shubham. Hello, Tokri Nisa. Hello, Ravi the rock star. Okay. Hello,
I
Mahim
love these
Uncle.
names.
Yeah.
Very
Hello,
unique, guys.
hello, Biswajit Gope. Hello, Himanchi Chikara. Do you want to go ahead, Divyam?
Yes, we just quickly say, guys, thank you so much for all the support, all the comments. Put in all of your questions in the chat. We will try to answer all of them, okay, as much as we can. Although the primary theme of this conversation is going to be fillers. Okay, guys? So we'll answer the filler related questions first. And then when we have time, we'll answer all of your other questions. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for being patient. All right, Arushi. You can continue.
Yep. So I'll start with the fillers.
Yeah, definitely.
So the thing is, as Divyam has also mentioned, there are these three words, right? Which we like, okay, a lot of words, but these three words, we can look at them like sister words. So actually, basically, and seriously, these filler words show up when you're making a statement that might have an exception. So like you want to say that, okay, not this, but this, right? Like not this point, but some other point. But then you keep using words like actually, basically, seriously in places where you don't need to. So actually, so when you're saying things like basically, he was saying that he loved palak paneer, but it's not required. Basically, it's not required there. We understand, but when you say things like, okay, he was saying that he loved palak paneer, we get it. So you can take out the basically and just say the sentence as it is. So this is where actually basically seriously words like these become filler words when you're using them unnecessarily, when they're not adding value to the sentence. So rather than saying basically he was saying he loved palak paneer, you can just say he was saying he loved palak paneer.
It's already obvious. We're just adding words for no reason.
Exactly. It's pretty obvious that we get it. He loves palak paneer. You don't have to say basically, actually, seriously, right? Like these are, you can treat them as sister words, and whenever you think that you might say them, just in a brain only omit them.
Yeah.
Only is also a filler word, which Divyam will be taking up.
Yeah.
So
Guys, remember we're saying it's, the way we're saying we have to keep it in mind and we have to avoid it. We're not saying it happens with the flick of a switch. Okay. This is why we tell you to join the classes, to take 15 minutes a day, or even twice or thrice a week is completely fine, because this is how habits are formed. We tell you how to be aware of a mistake that you make. Okay. And once we make you understand how it works, it's your job to kind of, observe when or how you're using certain words, and then try to fix it. And this takes time. Like, generally people say it takes about 20-21 days to fix a habit. Now, the reason we tell you to constantly keep practicing, constantly have conversations with a lot of people, and it doesn't matter whether it's on Clapingo or outside of Clapingo, this is in general to master this skill of having an English conversation. You have to make sure that you kind of keep practicing that and keep conditioning your brain that, hey, this is not how it's going to happen. I need to do this. This is the correct way. Right? Imagine a cricket shot. Like, in case you're playing it incorrectly, a coach will tell you, no, this is what you're doing wrong. You're stepping incorrectly, or your grip is incorrect. Just because they said that doesn't mean you're always going to use the correct form. Then you have to practice that correct form. You have to make sure you forget the old one and you put in this new form of thinking or this correction, and sort of implement that in your game, right? So this is exactly how English works. Okay, it's like any other skill. It needs to be practiced. It needs to have sort of good resources where you can find credible information. And that's where I think Clapingo tutors can help you, because when they have a conversation with you, they understand your interests and your likes. I think one person asked, what book do you recommend? I want to get fluent in English. Now, I think Danish Khan, any good book for English, please? Yeah, this is a perfect example, because Danish, we don't know a lot about you through the live chat, right? Because we've seen you, at least I've seen you for the first time. And what happens is, when I'm having a conversation with you one-on-one for 15 minutes, Danish, you might tell me your interests, that you like cars, you like cooking, you like traveling, right? And then I can give you suggestions. Oh, you like traveling? This is a great book you can, read. It will broaden your horizons. It will, make you feel adventurous or make you want to go to a certain place, right? So once you start doing these things, once you read this book, you'll realize, okay, there's another book that I should read. You start googling things that, okay, what is this place in this book? And then Google will be like, okay, you're reading this book, then here, try this podcast, try this YouTube channel. So keep your mind open when you're doing these things. Okay, it will help you definitely. And this is, like I was saying, this is where Clapping tutors come into play, because when we have the conversation with you, we can give you personalized, customized, feedback.
Yep. And it's a lot of times, even if we know we have a problem, to exactly identify it becomes difficult, because other than, like, we know, right, we have the problem, but a lot of people who are not aware about it might not be able to identify it. So that is where, like, tutors who are trained to do this will be able to identify your actual problem and will give you solution, an immediate solution.
Yeah. That reminds me, one thing that I find, I don't take a lot of sessions nowadays, and I'm sorry about that if anyone has realized that. But when I do take sessions, one of the most common fillers I hear, okay, I'll list out two or three, and I think all of you have heard this. And if you have, say yes in chat and let us know if you are facing the same issue, okay? And we would love to know that we're actually helping you. Words like no, na, and only. These are three words, especially I'm living in Mumbai. So I think these words are exploited, overused in the Mumbai sort of, what do you say, dialect, culture?
Yeah, it's in our culture, right? Like it's embedded in our language, like
Mhm.
our mother tongues. So we pick that up and then we use it in English
Yeah,
while
because
speaking.
I think these are some things that we have learned from people where we've learned English from them and we hear them use it and we just assume it's the correct way
Correct
to
way.
say.
Mm-hmm.
So the correct way to say that is, I'll give you an example. Okay, Arushi, so you asked me, hey, which movie do you want to watch? Okay. So you and I have already had a conversation about which movie to watch. So my response will be Spider-Man only, right?
Yep.
But
Mm-hmm.
that the basic reason we say that is because in Hindi we say Spider-Man ही देखेंगे ना.
Hmm. Spider-Man, he.
Spider-Man ही, obviously. So
Hmm.
what we do is we indirectly and unknowingly translate that and we say Spider-Man only, Spider-Man na, you know.
Yeah.
So these things are something that we need to be very aware of. And I think, I don't know, I'm not seeing a lot of yeses in chat. I think it's just my problem, I guess, that I see around me. But if you guys have this same issue, or you know someone who had this issue where they use na only, no, no na, these sort of words,
Mm-hmm.
then please say yes in chat. Let me know if it's an actual problem or I'm just, imagining this happening around my friends. But hopefully you know someone or you yourself are doing this and this will help you. The best way to correct that is probably by saying, let's use the same example. If I have to say Spider-Man only, okay, in a correct sense, I'll say, well, we decided to watch Spider-Man, so let's just go for Spider-Man. Or we can say, what else can we say, Arushi?
Like, if it's a friend and they keep asking, this is the second time they're asking. So we discussed this last night, right? Let's go ahead and watch it. You know,
Yeah.
you can express the same sentiment without using only.
And if you want to say it in a very casual sense, then you can just say, Spider-Man works.
Yeah.
Spider-Man works for me.
Spider-Man
Uh,
sounds good.
I'm really excited to watch Spider-Man. That's a perfect response, right?
Yes.
So one hack that I usually use when I'm having a conversation with someone, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I ask myself, would a famous actor say this, right? I don't recommend it to you guys, but I'm just saying through my experience. I'll take a particular actor that I like from Hollywood, okay,
Mm-hmm.
someone whose English is quite decent, if not the best, and I'll ask myself, will that actor say it? Okay, so just imagine who's the most famous Hollywood actor in the Indian like that we all love. Tom Cruise. I would say
Tom
Tom
Cruise.
Cruise is a good
Let's say
example.
Tom Cruise. Yeah.
Yeah, Tom Cruise, Leonardo DiCaprio.
The DiCaprio. Yeah.
I never heard him say Spider-Man only.
Hmm.
Like he never ends a sentence with only. He'll never end a sentence with that's what I
Mhm.
did now. So when I'm about to say something, I ask myself, would he say that or would they say that? Have I ever heard it in a movie or a show? And does it sound correct to me? Now, obviously, you can find your own ways to fix this, but I personally get very, very discouraged because I realize that I'm making a mistake and I should not say that because that is not something a native speaker or someone who's from an English background would say.
So, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So just say, um, find the correct way to do this, and if you don't know the sentence, just Google it. Google is your best friend. Just remember that, and everything that humans know is on Google technically, right?
Yeah.
So please feel free to just spam your questions in Google. And obviously, when we're having a live, you can ask us as well. Shruti said, let's watch Spider-Man tonight. That's perfect. That's a good example. See, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
So try to, I know it might be a little more complicated in the beginning, but this is exactly how we're supposed to fix it. Try to think about how a native speaker would say that. One of my
Soham has
friends,
also put it in the correct way. For sure, it has to be Spider-Man. Like, if you want
yes,
to, yeah, for
that
sure.
sounds great. Yeah.
Mhm. We have a question. We'll take questions later, Divyam, or do you want to
We
do? It's
have
a
a lot
filler
of
question.
questions actually. So yeah, if it's a filler related question, then we can take it right now.
Just because I just saw that. It's by Mubarak. One of my friends use always na. How do I remove his na? Okay. It's friends na.
Okay.
Mhm.
What do you think, Arushi? How do we tackle this?
What I would suggest is to first of all, as we said before, identify where you're using na, because na is a Hindi connector word, right? Or like a Hindi filler word, you can say. So identify, and then, so when do you usually use na? I'm just thinking. Um, I said we'll go home now. Yeah, that's when I said we'll go home now. So again, you are trying to express not frustration, but you're trying to say that we have discussed this before, and like I said yes to it. So you're trying to express that. To just say that we discussed this before. We are going to go home. Like we are going home. Okay, we'll stop. So that. So then, what I would suggest is to identify what sort of emotion you want to express there. Is it annoyed? Are you annoyed? Or is it casual, as Divyam said before? Is it casual, something, that? And then remove your na, because your na there is, we have picked it up from Hindi. And in Hindi, it's trying to say something, trying to express a certain emotion there. When you say things like, it's basically, मैंने बोला था ना, हमने discuss किया ना. Yeah, that's what you're trying to say there. So identify that emotion is probably annoying. And then
Hindi,
substitute.
it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, exactly. It makes. But in English, then of course you're using a Hindi word in English, which you shouldn't, which you can't really. So there, use better vocabulary. Make a short sentence, but a longer, like in the sense it can be a simple sentence, but add a few words there instead of now.
Yeah, I think there are a couple of more questions.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just try to take that. Can you take those, please?
Yes,
I'll
please.
be right back.
Yep, just checking. Right. Yeah, so you can replace Devendra. Thank you for the, yeah, you can replace na with right. But the thing is, right can also be a filler word a lot of times. It can become a filler word. If you use, see, as Divyam had pointed out earlier, anything in moderation works well. But if you keep using right a lot, then it eventually becomes a filler word. So that is why you need to holistically improve your vocabulary. Not just use right a lot or na a lot. Na, of course, not. But right, you mustn't use a lot.
Yeah.
That is something. That is my.
I think Mahabir has a question that is not related to fillers, but I think we can get to those now. I have a small question. I have one small question. I took Clapingo demo session 2 days back, but is there a way to have one tutor for at least 1 month? I don't want to change tutor every day. So as most of you who have taken a subscription will know, our platform is very flexible. Okay. We don't have speaker specific plans. You can just buy a normal plan for a month. Okay. And just make sure you have that speaker favorite. There's a favorite option on the top right. It's a heart. So when you click on that, every time you go to the book slot option, there's an option that says favorites. You can open that and it will show you the speaker's whole week's timings that they have put in. Okay. So let's say you've taken a session with them on Monday. You really like them. Okay, favorite them on your dashboard. And the next time you go to book a session, Clapingo, the platform will show you the speaker's timings, and you can see what time you can take a session with them. So even though it may not be the perfect time you want, maybe you love taking sessions at 7 o'clock in the evening after work, or before your dinner, any particular time, and they're not available, then you have to adjust a little bit. But I think you can take sessions with one tutor for how much ever time you want. Although our suggestion is, if you want to build confidence, if you want to learn new things, then talk to as many people as you can. Okay. If you want to get comfortable and you're nervous, then yeah, take the first 2-3 sessions with the same person. Get confident, improve your foundation, whatever your basic mistakes you're making. After that, please move on to another speaker. And we tell our speakers that as well, that, hey, please recommend other speakers as well. So that, the learner gets to talk about a variety of things, right? So I can talk to people about sports, or maybe the general news that I can just talk about current events basically. And maybe Aarushi can help you a lot with a little more in the grammatical sense of English, where she can give you the terms,
specific tips like tenses or
exactly how
articles,
to fix it or what exercises to do. Yeah. So if you keep switching, you learn a lot more things, and also the person who's talking to you will have different filters to find out what mistakes you're making. Okay. So if I'm only looking out for pronunciation and sentence structure, then those are the only things I'll be able to fix. But if Arushi is very, very, cautious or observant about tenses and, how you speak, the tone or the body language, if you don't go to her, you will never improve on that aspect. Okay. So keep switching, keep making sure, make sure that you keep, talking to as many people as you can throughout your subscription. And I promise you, it's going to be a much, much better experience.
For sure. We have a diverse range of speakers, and it's always recommended to talk to all of them, like to get in a session with each of them, because they will, of course, offer a different perspective. Not just your English, but in general, that will boost your confidence.
Yeah. And pretty soon we're going to have speakers from all over the world. So it's going to be a very, very fun experience for you guys.
Yeah.
A really fun experience. Sorry. See, I'm correcting myself only now.
Yes. We have a filler question, which is the latest question by Soham. Is a filler word, isn't it? Yes.
Yes, it is.
It is. It is. Is a filler word.
Only if you overuse it. All these words that we are mentioning can be used in a effective way in any sort of conversation. But if you repeat it constantly, then people will understand that he's trying to buy some time. He's a little unsure about, how to have, how to continue this conversation.
So, like the words that I mentioned before, words like actually, basically, or seriously, all of them are real words, right? And you should use them have them in your vocabulary. Don't completely omit them, but don't overuse them. Then they become filler words. Right?
Okay. So, Aarushi, what do you say we call a guest today? Are you feeling up for it?
Yes, we can for sure. Because I did see a comment there.
We've had multiple comments from the same user, and I think I must say that I am quite impressed by his what do you say? Diligence? Am I using the correct word? Persistence?
He's excited.
He's excited.
Exactly.
All right. So Soham, just make sure you DM us. We will send you the link for the live and you can join us.
Yep.
Okay. I'm just checking if he's messaged. Sorry. Do we have any other questions till then? We have another 10 minutes.
If I tried to word. So there's a question by English Binglish. What a cool name, English Binglish. I tried to avoid filler words and now habituated to say right. Question mark. Always again, this became my filler word. So right is your filler word. Yeah. Yes. So the thing is, whenever you're speaking, you don't have to say right in the end. But there is no need for it. So when I say things like, okay, Divyam is wearing a white hoodie. Let's just go with the truth. Divyam is wearing a white hoodie. So then there is no need for me to add right in the end. Divyam is wearing a right hoodie, right? Like it's just a white hoodie, right? Doesn't make sense. So we have to understand that a lot of the way the filler words are used and placed in sentences, they're unnecessary. They are not required. But of course, you need to use right in the right places.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
But it's quite complicated, guys. There's no correct answer for all of these things. They're very situational. So again, the more you practice, the more you will know, This is fun. Sapna has a very good question. The meaning of filler word. Yeah. So Sapna, basically what we're talking about, filler words are words we use when we don't know what we're going to say. Okay. And we use these words to buy ourselves some time. Words like, I mean, basically, actually. Okay. So these are words we use in the middle of sentences when we don't know what we're going to say next. So they fill up the sentence or our conversation.
Right. They fill it up. They take unnecessary space.
So basically, we are trying to have a conversation with you guys about how to avoid using it in sort of a way where, it might look like you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm just checking for more questions.
See, Shruti said, I have this habit of saying okay after every conversation. I think she said after every sentence, no problem. Then I realized how awkward it was. See, this is exactly what I love, even in my learners when I take a session. It's more important to understand your mistake than to fix it instantly. Okay, so it's a very good job that you understood what was wrong, what you were doing wrong, and now work towards fixing it. It may take some time, but yes, the good thing that is that you know that you have to fix it. That's a very good thing. Okay, there's a very famous saying that I think in Hindi also we have this, and you can take a horse to the well, but you can't make him drink water,
Yeah.
right? So I say this to my mother all the time, that you can try to teach someone something, but you can't make them learn it,
Right.
right? So
Unless they want to.
exactly. So if I tell you no, you have to correct it, and you don't want to correct it, never going to happen. I think this happens all the time when you tell your friend to quit smoking. He'll say, "Yeah, I'll do it," but he doesn't want to, so he won't do it. The day he realizes that it's bad for him, or he shouldn't do it, he's not even going to ask you. He's just gonna quit. So this is what I'm saying about realizing. So the second you realize, that is where you won half the battle, because you will try to fix it by yourself. No one's forcing you to do that. Okay. Is dear a filler word? Aarushi, is dear a
Hello,
filler
sir.
word? Oh, hi.
Yep.
Hello, Soham.
Hi. Hello.
Wish a very good evening, ma'am, and good evening, sir.
Good evening. Please call me Divyam, and
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
can
You
call her
can call
Aarushi
it
as
Arushi.
yeah,
well.
sure.
Hi. So, how are you?
I'm fine. It is like my second time in a live with Clapingo.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been in the very first lives on YouTube for
Yes.
Clap. So this is like my second time. Yeah,
Yes, I remember. So
yeah,
you've been asking us a lot of great questions that have helped, I'm sure, a lot of the viewers as well. Right? Thank you so much for that. So Soham, since you said you had joined us for the live, right?
yes.
Why don't you tell us? And this is just because I'm super curious.
Yeah.
What part of the live do you find really valuable? Like, how is it that we can improve our life, or what are we doing that is correct for you as a viewer?
So according to me, the um, questions that the viewers ask and the way you guys solve it, you guys answer and you give the solutions. So I think that's the best part of the live, and that's what the live is meant for and conducted for. So I feel that's something really, really great, and that's a great initiative. And that way we can also, you guys can connect with the people, or
The
who are,
community, yes.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's
We
what.
realized this actually because we were getting a lot of traction on YouTube. I think our YouTube videos are mostly why everyone is here. We have a lot of followers on Instagram. I think we're on 5,500 if I'm not wrong, right?
Yeah,
So we kept getting questions in our comments. We kept getting questions in our DMs or our inboxes, right? And we just thought maybe we should have a platform where we are just here for you guys, and you can just ask us questions whenever you want.
absolutely. And every time you guys come live on YouTube, I'm like very excited. I'm having my notifications turned on, and every time you guys come live, I just watch the live and interact with you people. So
Great. See, guys, take inspiration from that. Please subscribe and put on the bell icon. I hate doing this. I feel like such a fake influencer when I say these things, but it will only benefit you guys. Whenever you get a notification, it's easier for you to just hop on, ask a couple of questions, and obviously, if you have other things to do, then please keep moving on with your day. So, Soham, you've already
yeah.
asked us a lot of questions. Okay. Are there any questions that we haven't answered, or are there any questions that you want to ask now?
Um, I just wanted to ask about filler words only. Like, what is the best way to cut down filler words in the speech? Because as we all know, filler words are something that will make the quality of the speech a little degraded.
Mhm.
So, what is the best way in which we can totally cut down filler words using filler words? Like on a personal front, I hate using filler words, and I'm always conscious that whether or not I am actually using it in my speech or in my conversation with other people. But then I want to know how I can reduce the use of filler words.
It's great that you know it's happening. Firstly, that's a good
Yeah.
thing.
The first step.
Yeah.
Yep.
Secondly, I would say that whenever you have figured out an issue, okay, I'll tell you how to understand a problem and how to fix it. Okay. This is what I do when I see that I'm doing something wrong, or I see someone else doing something wrong. I go to the most basic reason, like why does it happen? Okay. So why do you need to use filler words? Okay, there are two or three ways. Firstly, maybe you're not experienced enough and you haven't had enough practice, so you don't know what to say. Okay,
Thank-
and the second is that you don't you don't have a comfortable speed. Now this happens a lot because in India we have so many different cultures and so many different languages that have their own tempo. They have their own speed. So if you look at Hindi is kind of comfortable. Everyone can kind of handle that, right? But there are some languages where it is very common to speak really fast.
Absolutely.
So it sets a tone for that person कि ठीक है मुझे इतनी स्पीड पे बात करना है or like I can only speak in you know 70 words per minute. Nobody counts it, but I'm just giving you an example so we
But
can
really
track it.
fast. Like
Yeah.
some languages are just really fast.
So the reason you need to use fillers is because you're speaking so fast in a new language, you don't know what to say next. So now you need a second to pause. Right? It's like we are unfit and we're running, but then we need a minute after 100 meters because we haven't run in a while, right? So we get tired. So two things. Firstly, if you're not experienced enough and you don't know what to say, practice. Obviously, practice exposure, read books, watch shows, have conversations with other people. And secondly, if you do have enough experience and you're still using a lot of fillers, then slow down. Give yourself time to think. Before you start a conversation, tell yourself, okay, I'm going to talk about these two things, and that's it. Right? So
Yeah.
Make
you can, yeah, go ahead, Arush.
right. Also makes smaller sentences, simpler
Sure.
sentences. That is something. So you don't even have to have a conjunction in your sentence, right? You don't have
Okay.
to join two sentences also. It can just be a simple sentence, speak in simple sentences. So you will for sure not have filler words in those.
At least
Fine.
until
And
you get rid of the fillers from
exactly.
your
Then you can
conversation.
go ahead and speak complex sentences. Also, there is a second part to the first part is that you don't know, right? Or you don't know the right words, what to say. It also might be because you're nervous. You might know enough, but you're nervous to say it.
True. True. I've also come across another thing in this regard. That is, while we are conversing with someone else, at times we need to use a little jargon, or as in some of the technical words that we probably we know what the thing is, but then the actual technical word that needs to be put in the conversation, we are not being able to recapitulate the word that at that point in time. So probably that is also a probable reason why we use filler words
Mhm.
to connect these. Yeah.
Right. So you might have a word. It's like you have the word in your mind, in your brain, but
Yeah.
you're not able to vocalize. You
Able
have
to
not say it,
recapitulate
right?
it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that is because you're nervous, and that happens, right? That is because you are unsure as to is this the right word, and am I saying it correctly? Does it match with the meaning that is there in my brain? And it happens a lot,
Absolutely.
and you don't have to be hard on yourself. That is why when I say make simpler sentences and start with simpler vocabulary. If you think you're not sure about certain word, just use simple vocabulary and then go ahead with complex sentences and complex vocabulary.
Guys, just make sure you keep this in mind. This is very, very generic feedback from us. Okay.
Mhm.
It's possible that you have a different sort of issue. There are a million reasons why it could happen. Okay. These are just some that we have experienced that are very, very common. Okay. So please make sure you sort of have a conversation with the speaker and let them decide why it's happening. Okay. Don't just assume that everyone has the same issue. That's not how it works. I hope we answered your question, so
Are we
Yes,
helping you so?
absolutely, absolutely. And another thing I want to mention over here, that is, I always stress upon using more and more flowery words in my conversation. Is that okay, or is like, am I doing it too much? I
It's
always
up
stress
to
upon using more and more flowery words, so that it's a little impressive in front of the person I'm talking to. So is that okay, or like?
So now you must have figured it out. Divyam and I are speakers who don't use a lot of big words, like in non-normal conversations. At least I don't. I use a lot of words because I don't think like there is no need to.
I don't know big
Right.
words.
For example, if it's long, if the word is long, I would use sesquipedalian in my conversation. So that's some kind of a thing that I always take into consideration.
Right. So there's nothing wrong in it, but if you want to have, so the thing is, not a lot of people will know those words, correct? It's not your simple vocabulary. So if you want to have just your normal, simple conversations, I suggest using simpler words. And like, the words that you're saying, a lot of them are used in writing, not speaking.
True.
Right? Because it's different when you read and it's different when you're just having a normal, genuine conversation. Like I want to ask Divyam about, hey, did you like have tea today? I don't have to use big words to ask that. So so then you can, it's good that you have that sort of vocabulary, Soham, but you can always use simpler words while speaking, and while writing, you can use the bigger words. If the person, like you start a conversation and you realize the person in front of you is aware, like knows those sort of words, then go ahead and say the word you just said, which I did not catch.
Yeah, same. I mean, I don't understand, but we are very honest about this. In our sessions, we say that, listen, we don't know. We're just going to be very honest, because it's better to admit that than give an even incorrect advice or anything. But one thing I'll tell you, Soham, it's always good to know these things. So I'm not going to say stop learning them. Keep learning them.
Exactly.
Just be very, very aware about the situation you are in. Context, exactly. So let me just tell you, like, let's say I have a Hyundai Verna, okay, as a car. There's no point putting a turbo or a nitrous kit in that. Okay. No. There's no point investing money in that car for a racing kit, because no one's going to appreciate it. No one is going to see it also, right? But it is possible for you to get a separate car and then do that thing differently. So what you can do is you can have a conversation with us generally. Like even when I'm talking to Aarushi or like any of my friends, I'll tell them, let's meet at the garden, right? But the IELTS way is like, let's rendezvous at the garden, right? Now rendezvous is not that of a that's not that complex, but you get what I'm trying to say.
Right? Yeah, rendezvous is like a meeting.
Exactly, a meeting point or time and point basically. So I'm not saying it's incorrect, but is it that necessary? Like that's what I'm trying to say, because you don't want someone, like you're trying to make a good impression, but what if someone gets intimidated? What if someone is like, I don't know as much as him, maybe I shouldn't
maybe I shouldn't talk to them, right?
So you have to be very careful about these things, especially in our culture where
there aren't much English speakers, or
to begin with, right?
To begin with.
So every time you come across this problem, you face this problem, right? You can have this one sentence in your mind that it's correct, but is it mandatory?
Okay.
In that context, and then you speak.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So it was great talking to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Soham.
It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Bye. Have a great week.
Bye.
Bye, Soham. Have a good evening.
Have a good evening. Bye.
I think there's something going on over there, so you'll have to end the live first.
Yes. All right. So I think Divyam, we'll come to an end now. Is that? Yep.
There are
Thank you.
2 questions that we missed. Maybe answer 1 or 2 of them, and then we can end.
All right. I'm just checking. Saying. I had this. So this is by Shruti. I have this habit of using a filter a lot, saying right? But then instead of removing that, I started adding different filters so that it does not sound repetitive. So you exchange filters, right? But at the end of the day, you're still using a filter. You're still, sorry, not filter, I'm so sorry, filler word. You're still using the filler word. So you need to avoid it altogether, Shruti. And don't I suggest not exchanging words, right? And not looking for a new filler word to remove the older filler word, because then it becomes a cycle and you don't solve your problem. So the same feedback we've been giving since the live is that, of course, identify your filler word and then fill up your vocabulary with words that you can actually use to substitute that filler word. So that is something that I would suggest strongly. And don't exchange a filler word with a new filler word. So that is one question.
I think we have. I'm sorry. Is this very loud?
It's okay. You can go ahead. Yeah.
There's one really good question. English Club by Madhurendra. I'm sorry if I'm saying that incorrectly. I often wonder, can convent educated teacher slash mentor really help a student who is receiving an education from a Hindi medium school? Aarushi, can you answer that?
So I was not able to hear it. I'm looking for the question. I think I know.
I'll send it in chat. Yep.
Thank you. Just checking. Yes, please. I don't know now who is this from, because I'm not able to look for the question, but yes, we'll be able to help. And the thing is, if you're referring to our tutors, like as long as they are good English speakers, right, effective English speakers, they go through training to sort of to bring all of them to the same base. So all of them know the same stuff. And then when they go ahead and teach you, of course, they have their own perspectives, as we said before, but they're all coming from the same place. So it is possible to do that. Yeah. All right. So with this, we have taken up all the questions, please. If we have not, so sorry, we'll ensure in the next live we answer your questions. So you guys can go ahead and keep posting your questions. So with this, we're coming to an end. Thank you so much for joining our live. Please share, like, subscribe, all of that. And yep. And see you guys next Friday with new set of speakers, set of people who will go live. All right. Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you.